Hey, it's JMA. Today we're going to be talking about doing a tie rod end, or the track ends for a 2007 BMW X5. So I've already started working on this. Kind of wanted to show you the process and what parts and tools are needed. So there's the tie rod end right there. I've got the bolt off of it now. What I used to get that off was a 27 millimeter with the star end on it. So basically it's the same thing as what you'd use to get these same bolts here off for like your lower control arms and whatnot. So what we're going to do now is we've got two things we've got left to do. So now that I got this bolt off up here, the first thing is to get the joint unseated from that position there. So I'll probably end up using a pickle fork. And then I've got to get back there with the boot, and there's a, let's see if I can get this on camera. There is a clip back there. Can I see the clip? No, I cannot. Let's try this. And that sucker's back there, way back there. So there's a clip back there, and I'll show you on the new parts where that's at and how it works. But basically we're going to take a screwdriver, pop it in there, pry the clamp apart, pull the boot off, and then there's a nut on the inside that goes to the steering rack. That goes, I think it's a 20, 30, 36, 37. I can't remember right now offhand, but so that's basically what we've got to deal with, is getting inside there to get the clip out. Let's see if I can find the clip. Is it there? It's somewhere in there. Anyways, when I take it apart, I'll show you. But essentially, you've got to get in there, get the boot off, and remove this part. So it's going to be that nut there needs to be taken off. Pop the joint off, and then get the boot off the rack, and undo the 30. I think that's 37 millimeter bolt. You can use a pipe wrench to get it off, and I'll show you that later. So these are the parts and tools you'll need to replace the tie rod ends. So brand new tie rod end, they're exactly the same number, both left and right side. So there's the number there. This is lymph order. This is the original part that came out of the car. As you can see, it looks a little bit different than that one there. This one looks a little more beefier than the stock standard one. So let's see, you're going to need a T40 for this when you try and get the nut back on. These are different sizes, this one here and this one here, so your results may vary depending on what you have and what you replace it with. Obviously a screwdriver to kind of pry out the clip for the back of the boot. The 38, I find that this works here on the 38 here, so you can get this nut off with 38 millimeter. The 27 is used for that part there, which if you're going to do it, use the 12 point so it matches with that. So you end up with pretty much the same thing there. Hammer, knock out the tie rod end, and then depending on what you're going to do, if in my case I ordered a new boot, so I'm just going to cut the old one off. And then a 24 for the, what was it? I think it was this nut here. On that one, it's 22. This one is 24. But anyways, so those are the tools you'll need for this job. And then I'll go ahead and show you under the car what you need to remove to get to the parts. It's an easy job, but as with anything BMW, they got plenty of panels in the way. So let me get the car in. I'll go ahead and get it jacked up, take the tire off, and I'll show you what you need to get to the parts and how to remove them. Alright, so I've got the car jacked up, I've got the wheel off. This is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and release this nut here, which I've already done. This is with the 27 millimeter wrench. After that's done, take that off. With BMWs, they're pretty easy. I really haven't had too many problems with trying to release these, but you can just take a hammer and there you go, pops right off. So we're going to go ahead and go to the other side, but there's some panels that I have to remove first. I've already started releasing some of the bolts on there, but they're down here on the other side over here. Once we get those off, we can get more access to the boot on here. So we'll be back in a minute with that. Now, just as a follow-up, if you do have problems removing the tie rod end, you can always use a pickle fork. And what you do is jam the pickle fork down here and then take a hammer and hit it. It's basically like a wedged tuning fork. And it goes in between here and you hit it. And it should release the ball joint. But it's like BMWs pretty much have an easy time getting them to come off. I've had issues with Fords. And my old 2002 BMW from the 70s. That was kind of hard to get off too, but this newer style usually really pretty easy. Okay, so back underneath the car, we have a few screws that we need to undo. These are all 8mm. There's one there. There's one right up here. There's another. Let's see. That's a pop out. So it's like one of these. I haven't done that one yet. And there's another pop up out back there and back there. Another 8mm there. There and then there. And then once those are undone, you can pretty much pop this thing off. I'm going to try and see if I can pull this out of the way without getting that last pop off out. That should be good enough. So what we're looking at is there's on the boot, let's see if I can see where that clip is. Let's see. Is it going to be there? Let's see. I think it's going to be at the top. Anyway, oh, there it is right there. So it's right up here. Let's see if I can get a screwdriver to point it out to you. It's too short, I think. Right there. Right there, there's a clip. So basically what you don't want to do is put a screwdriver in there, twist it, and it'll pop off. Just like what I showed earlier in the video. It's a compression clip. You can, when you release it, if you do it right, you can reuse it. If not, you're going to be looking at getting a new clip. You can also zip tie it as well until you get the new clip. But basically, there's a special tool that you can use to crimp it, so it makes it tighter. If you're skilled enough, you can use a pair of side cutters and just pull it enough until it makes it cinch down, but not enough to cut it. So after that, we can remove. I need a pair of pliers for that. Pop this off, and then you can pull the whole thing out, and there'll be the 38mm nut on the inside here, and then you pop that off, and the whole tie rod end will come off. So let me go ahead and get this boot off. I'm going to cut it because I've already got a new one, as I showed you before, and we'll go from there. All right, here we are with the boot off. So I'm going to go ahead and take the wrench and take that off. What I like to do is take a pair of channel locks with a rag wrapped around the string rack part here, just to hold it in place so you don't torque the steering rack end. So basically you're not applying torsion on it this way or that way when you're trying to remove this. So we're going to go and remove that, put the new part in, and then button it all up. We'll be right back. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is align our tie rod ends to make sure that they are ballpark, because you're not going to get this perfect. You are going to need alignment when you go do this sort of work. There's no way you can compete with the laser alignment system because they're way more accurate. And you can try and do the toe in yourself a little bit or toe out depending on what you're doing. But as a general rule of thumb, go and get it aligned, because it'll wear your tires out faster if they're not aligned properly. Anyways, so what we're doing here is we're aligning the back end of this here. So you can see those are lined up. The mating edge here to the tie rod or the steering rack, and then here. So it's close. So what I've done is I've marked it here with Sharpie, and then a line here, because we got to get the boot back on. And trying to do this with the boot on is just dang near impossible. So I'm going to go ahead and take this back off again, hopefully get it within the same range, put the boot on, put it back together, and then stuff it back in the car. Okay, so I've got the boot installed. Just a little tip, before you install it into the car, make sure that you don't put the clip on, because it makes it easier to compress the boot to get to the bolt at the end that you need to install to the steering rack. If it's pushed all the way back, it makes it harder. So make sure you don't do that. It'll make it easier for yourself.
That right there was some fan video. Some stuff that I had from a while ago that didn't really make it onto YouTube per se, but figured there's enough tips and tricks in there that you guys might like it. So the reverse is pretty much the same as the uninstall. So to reinstall is the same thing pretty much. Put all parts back together. The torque specifications will be in the comments down below, or in the description of the video. So if you have any comments or questions, obviously leave those in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, do your thing. Thanks for watching. That's a train dog. Sounds like this. Kinda. Well, anyways.